Stay. I'll tell you why in just a moment after I get the pleasantries out of the way. You may join in on the proceedings at 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. Now, that is our phone number for our studio line. When you dial that number, Bell K will answer the phone. He will be quick and to the point. I won't say Kurt because he's Bell, but kind of. He will say, who are you? Where are you calling from? What do you want to talk about? And then you get on the radio, a 100,000-watt radio station, and you are allowed to opine about matters of importance to you. 615-737-9986. You may also utilize the super text line in that regard. That's a fairly new feature that we just put together. It's been about a year, right? The super text line? And it's been a wonderful and welcome addition to the proceedings here at Super Talk 99.7 WTN, giving you the ability to chime in and join in on the conversation without taking the time to call in, although I prefer the telephone calls. I admit it. You may do that by dialing up 615-737-9986 and texting us at your leisure. We have a couple of platforms that we're on right now. We're on the radio, obviously, most of you listening on the radio, although many of you stream us via your internet streaming platform of your choice. TuneIn is a place. iHeart's a place. Spotify, I believe, is a place. There are others. And then there's our app. We invite you to download our app. I understand that that's another step in the proceedings, but if you download our app, you can take us wherever you go. Just type in Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and on your smartphone, on your laptop, wherever you might be, you can listen at your leisure. You can also watch the show. I don't know why you would want to do that, but I appreciate that there are many of you that do. Watching the show is as simple as going to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, typing in Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and I don't mention this enough. On YouTube particularly, like and subscribe to our channel. And at some point down the road, we'll be populating that with stuff that doesn't happen on the radio, whether it be podcasts or short snippets or whatever. And so you want to subscribe to that to make sure that you have Super Talk 99.7 WTN at your fingertips at any time. You can just punch us in and go. Now, episode 474 on the TV side of things is up and running. Bell K likes to title these things, and today's title is?
I kind of defaulted to an oldie but a goodie. Matt Murphy Show, reminding you politicians have a lot in common with diapers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Full of poop.
Mm-hmm.
Smelly.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to deal with them.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, politicians are a lot like criminals, which is kind of a theme that I'm going to get into on today's show.
A lot like or are?
I mean, well, in some cases, absolutely are. But government and criminals are the only two entities in the United States of America that accomplish their goals. They accomplish their goals in a surprisingly similar fashion. They do so through subversion, and if that doesn't work, they do so through force, through sheer force of will or force of terror. And we're seeing a lot of that out of the Biden administration nowadays. The Biden administration claims that, this is the great compromiser, right? Joe Biden? This is the guy that told us that over the last 50 years that he's struck more deals. He's walked across the aisle. He talked to John McCain. He talked to this Republican and that Republican. He got deals done with Ronald Reagan. He got deals done with George W. Bush. He was the master compromiser in the United States Senate. I'm a master debater. I am. Well, I could have said, I bait people into calling the show, so I could have said it a different way if I wanted to, but I'm trying to be nice because it's the lunchtime and, maybe there are little pitchers with big ears in the, yeah. But we're going to get into that today. I don't want to get ahead of myself because there's a big announcement. Do we have horns? We have a big announcement. So, thank you. I think we need something. I like this one. I appreciate this one. There's a lot of fanfare. I think we need something a little, it's a little too. I'm not knocking it. I like it. Don't get me wrong, but, just one little horn.
I'll see if I can find something else that I can record off the. Oh, wait, never mind.
Don't get me started. So, today is December 13th, 2023. And it is our anniversary. Happy anniversary to you. Happy anniversary to me. Happy anniversary to Bell. Happy anniversary to Mac Morey, although he wasn't here when we originally started these proceedings. He came along a little later on. It is episode 474. I don't count days of the week that I'm not here. So these are actual days that I've been in the seat, either here or, on some days I subbed in for Brian Wilson. But it is
again.
And will again over the holidays. That's right. But it is my 474th visit with all of you on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I want to just take a moment to reflect. And I won't belabor this. We're not going to, spend the entire show on it. We've got too much to do. Robbie Starbuck coming up at 12:35 to talk to you about a couple of things, including school choice. And Cameron Smith at 2:05 this afternoon, our two scheduled guests on Super Talk 99.7 WTN in our portion of the day. So I never would have, real quick, I'll say this. I never would have wished for this opportunity in the manner that it happened, because it had to do with the death of Phil Valentine, who is obviously still much beloved in this community and always will be. And always will be. After the passing of Phil Valentine, there were conversations between Dan Mandis and myself. I was in Birmingham, Alabama, and had been for a number of years. I was the program director of the radio station there. I was also the morning show host. And I looked at this as a wonderful opportunity and a new adventure in my personal life and in my professional life. And so I seized upon the opportunity because, trust me when I tell you this, if you don't know what you have because it's right here in your backyard, know that other communities, other states, other big cities similar to Nashville, they have something like this, but they don't have this. This being Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is a unicorn. It is a unicorn that literally, and I told this story years ago. I think I may have told the story the first day that I was on air. That when I had a chance as program director in Birmingham to make a pitch we were on AM radio, and in 2023, if you're existing solely on AM radio, you're losing a lot of your audience, or at least your potential audience, only because younger generations don't know what the hell AM radio is. They barely know what FM radio is. So I had an opportunity in Birmingham to talk to my corporate masters about what I saw as the future of talk radio in Birmingham, and I pitched that we needed to have a 100,000-watt FM signal. That was important to me because you want to reach the maximum amount of people that you can possibly reach to do what we do, community-based radio on a daily basis. And I used Super Talk. This is 6 years ago. So, no, now 2016, whatever that is, 7 years ago. I used Super Talk 99.7 WTN as an example of the way that a huge radio station along these lines in a huge community like Middle Tennessee can work for the citizens, can make a difference. And I spoke about Brian Wilson and Dan Mandis and Phil Valentine and that live and local concept that has existed here for many, many years. And so it was, to a certain degree, ironic and certainly fortuitous that I had the opportunity that I had, but I never would have wished for the opportunity in the manner that I got it. That said, it has been a wonderful 2 years, and I deeply appreciate you welcoming me into this state and welcoming me into the Super Talk family. Even if you hate my opinions, even if you disagree with me, from time to time, I like to say that you should disagree with me from time to time because I'm a little crazy, and if you agree with me 100% of the time, that means you are too. But it has been an incredible 2 years, and I hope we have many, many years to go. So thank you for everything that you have, all the things you've said, all the wonderful people that I've had an opportunity to meet. I am deeply appreciative of the opportunity to get to know a new community. I am deeply appreciative of the community in which I now live and the place that I now call home, which is Tennessee. I've said since I got here, Tennessee's my new girlfriend. It is natural when you have a new girlfriend, when you talk about her or introduce her, you talk about how pretty she is and how awesome she is, and everything's wonderful, and it's a honeymoon period. Well, the honeymoon period hasn't stopped because I continue to discover new things about this state, new things about this community, new things about the people of this state, while I believe I was ready and prepared to move into Tennessee, considering my time in Alabama, my time in Georgia. I'm a Southern boy born and bred. While I feel I was well prepared for all of that, immersing yourself in the culture of the state of Tennessee is something wonderful, and I have appreciated every moment of it, almost every moment of it. I mean, there's Bell, but let's not ruin a wonderful moment together talking about negative things. I kid because I love. 615-737-9986. Hunter Biden announced that he will defy the House Oversight Committee subpoena to testify privately and lashed out at the unrelenting Trump attack machine. I'm sorry, is Donald Trump the president of the United States now? Apparently he is. Donald Trump has some power or sway over any of this?
Didn't you get the memo?
Apparently I missed it.
He never left office. He refused.
That's right.
Refused to give up power.
That's right. He's a dictator. He wants to be a dictator. It's been one of my favorite things to watch over the last week. The amount of leftist media willing to lie to the American people about what Donald Trump said to Sean Hannity and how he followed up with it during a speech. They had to clip it out in order to convince you, to make you believe that, oh, yeah, Donald Trump's saying the quiet part out loud now. He really wants to be a dictator, guys. Listen to what he said. He's obviously making a joke. So apparently he's more effective at this dictator thing than I would have believed, considering that Hunter Biden apparently thinks that he's still in power. The son of the most powerful man in the world, whether that man knows it or not, re-upped his offer to participate in a public congressional hearing instead of a private deposition, which Representative James Comer denied. I don't understand why we're denied. Does anyone have a good reason why this is happening this way? I have no idea why Hunter Biden would not be offered an opportunity to testify publicly. Unless Comer is afraid that they don't have the goods. Hunter Biden opened his comments with the Capitol in the background to the assembled media, acknowledging his past mistakes, and then went on to lash out at Republicans, saying that he had atoned for said mistakes, blah, 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 yada, 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 yada. Nobody really cares about Hunter Biden, least of all me. I care that he's a deadbeat dad, which bothers me. It bothers me because my dad was a deadbeat dad. It bothers me that the grandfather-in-chief, the doddering old fool that's in the White House, refused to acknowledge his grandchild for 2.5 years. Almost 2.5 years, Mr. President. You finally acknowledged her, and now you're not putting up any stockings at the White House because you can't put number 7 up without acknowledging her yet again. It bothers me that Hunter Biden refuses to pay his child support because my father refused to pay his child support. It's personal with me. Any man that fathers a child and refuses to take care of that child is a scumbag. Do I need to be more emphatic about that? I think you got it, right? Okay? If you do the deed without some sort of exterior circumstances beyond my understanding or beyond your control, and I'll add that caveat because I say I make a declarative statement like that, and occasionally people come up, well, what about the dad that didn't know the thing and then he promised the stuff and the thing, and then the dad said this, and they signed a piece of paper, whatever. You guys know what I'm saying. Hunter Biden, and I don't want to belabor this because I really don't care that much about him. What I care about is his relationship with his father and how he enriched the Biden crime syndicate based on his father and his father's influence and how that has spilled over into compromised positions with regard to America around the world, specifically in China and Ukraine. We're watching the compromise in real time. Why do you think that Joe Biden is so insistent on getting money to Ukraine? Is it possible that somewhere in Ukraine, whether it be in the halls of Burisma, whether it be in the halls of the special prosecutor's office or the prosecutor's office, whether it be in the halls of government, is it possible that somewhere in Ukraine they've got the goods on what really went down with regard to Hunter's position on the board of Burisma and the fact that Joe Biden went over to that country and held money over their heads, demanding that they fire a prosecutor that was looking into Burisma that would obviously personally benefit his son? And the suggestion that they never spoke on it? Come on, man. Come on. Can I get a come on, man? I can't get a come on, man?
No, everybody else was using that one, so I'll get rid of it.
Well, you don't add new ones. There's new ones. I'm not. How dare you, Mr. President? He was talking to you. He wasn't talking to me.
He might have been.
No, he was talking to you. He said that you were a stupid SOB for eliminating the come on man.
Fair enough.
You just allow Matt Morey to steal the come on man. It is a natural fact, Mr. President. All right, so more on that. But Hunter Biden speaks before the assembled masses. You'll hear from Hunter in just a moment. We have a couple of pieces of audio from his delicious remarks outside of the Capitol where he took a stand. I'll testify publicly. I should understand why there's a distinction there and why James Comer doesn't take him up on it, but I don't quite understand it. If you've got the goods, at least enough goods to move forward with this testimony, why wouldn't you do that? There will be a vote, if it's not happened already, on an official impeachment inquiry in the halls of Congress of the United States of America. We'll talk about that as well. We'll take your telephone calls on this 2-year anniversary of the Matt Murphy Radio Show. Stedman, you'll be first. Scott, Mark, I see you there. It's 1222 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So the holidays are here. I don't know. It might be too late. It's December 13th. We've, a week and 4 days of shopping, 11 days, that would be, shopping days until Christmas. So maybe Mark can pull a miracle and get your safe from Safe House delivered by Christmas morning. One way or the other, there's one way to keep your valuables safe and secure from theft and fire, and that is a beautiful safe from Nashville Safe House, and they've got them, boy. They have more brands than you can imagine. I mean, every brand imaginable, they have them in stock, including the leading brand in the gun safe industry. That would be Browning. They've got the best fire ratings in the industry, and they've got some great rebates on them right now at Nashville Safe House. They have over $1 million of safes in stock. They've got vault doors in stock. They have almost 600 safes in stock. There's no better place to find the solution for your security needs. Whether those needs are gun-related, perhaps you need a place to keep those things that keep your family safe and secure. Keep them safe and secure with a gun safe. Jewelry, other valuables, important paperwork. You need to keep them safe from theft or fire, and you can do so with an incredible safe from Nashville Safe House. How did they become the largest safe specialty company in the Southeast? Because they do things the right way. They have the best brands in the industry, the best pricing in the industry, and they are honest and upfront with you. Mark and his team say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays from Nashville Safe House. Come see them. Nashville Safe House online at NashvilleSafehouse.com, NashvilleSafehouse.com, or better yet, stop by 4th Avenue South across from City Cemetery. Tell them Murphy sent you to Nashville Safe House. Hey, friends, Matt Murphy for Savory Spice. This time of year especially, you need to keep Savory Spice in mind because a lot of you are cooking more often than usual. Many of you are cooking for more people than usual, and perhaps you're doing more baking than usual. Well, if any of these things are the case and you're in need of delicious spices that are going to up that food game this holiday season, it's time to get with Savory Spice. They have 2 locations to serve you. I have some sad news to report. Our relationship with Savory Spice is a friendship, and it's a business relationship. I love telling you about Savory Spice, love telling you to get there and go there and see the incredible selection that they have and the different types of things that they have. And toward that end, I was in Savory Spice a few weeks ago, L&L Market side on Charlotte Pike, and Holly shows me glitter syrup. It's maple syrup with glitter in it for the kids or for the holidays or for whatever. I mean, if you're a kid at heart, and I think we've sold them out of glitter syrup. I believe that's the case. So if you wanted to get glitter syrup and you were looking to, I know that they're out of the small bottles, and I think they're about out of the big bottles. If not out, then really, really close. I mean, that's the thing, though. I tell you, and you got to go. You got to act on these things if you're interested. Savory Spice, 2 locations. In all seriousness, folks, for any of your baking needs, any of your cooking needs, holiday or otherwise, they are the go-to location. You are grown, right? Let's up your food game. And the first way to up your food game is to buy better cuts of meat, better cuts of salmon, better veggies at the local market. And the second way is to go to Savory Spice and up the spice game. And the way to do that is Savory Spice. 2 locations I mentioned, the L&L Market side, Franklin in the Square. Go by and see them. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to the one and only Savory Spice. It is 1228 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm getting a lot of reaction to my question on the Super Text line. The reaction comes from the Super Text line. The question was posed on air last segment, and it was simple. Why don't the Republicans take Hunter Biden up? Oh, I want to testify publicly. Well, I understand what Hunter's trying to do. They're trying to create the circus. I think we need a little bit of the circus. I think more people need to be aware of the lengths that the political left, that they're willing to go in order to protect Hunter Biden. But it's not about Hunter Biden. They'll throw Hunter Biden under the bus in a heartbeat if it benefits the Democrats. They want to protect sleepy, sloppy Joe. That's who they're trying to protect, really. More on that in just a moment. Right now, I believe it's Steedman. Is it Steedman or Stedman?
Stedman, just like Uncle Wimper's husband. That's what I tell everybody. I had a weird family.
What's up, Stedman? How are you?
Hell, brother, I was just going to tell you, I love your show, and I'm glad you're here. And you was talking about the Snowball Derby, where you was looking at the super silver car with the number 1 on it.
Yes, sir.
And Mark Laos that you was going to pull for.
Uh-huh, yeah.
That's my brother-in-law.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Yes, sir, and I was just going to let you know, I've done talked it over with them, and they like to flip out. And anytime you want to come to Nashville Fairgrounds, come on. You're welcome to have your ticket and all that.
Brother, we're doing it, man. No, absolutely. Stedman, here's what I'm going to do. After we finish on air, I'm going to put you on hold. I'm not going to hang up on you because I want to get some contact info from you guys. How did things go at the were you down at the Snowball?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? How'd things go?
Yeah, it was a show. The tires are so hard to kick and miss on getting them right, and he had to pull off early just because of tires. He didn't want to tear a car up, which you figure it pays $25,000 to win the race, and you're already out $20,000 to get down there, so it ain't worth it.
I know, I get it. You can't.
It's better than Biden politics or Bidenomics.
I imagine when you're as close to racing as you are, Stedman, and your family, when you see the big boys just rip a car apart just because they want to stay out on the track and make a couple more laps, you're just shaking your head like, man, oh, man, I wish I had that kind of money.
That's one of them deals, and then I'm also shaking my head going, I got to fix this thing. I don't like it.
Well, I wish y'all the best. Has the racing shut down? Are we still racing at the fairgrounds this season, or are we done?
No, sir. We're going to be running. We're going to run. They trying to fight us. It's like you was talking about yesterday. I listened to y'all religiously, and that was where you was talking about the guy that had the smokehouse and people from California. Raising Cane, this, that, and the other. No, we ain't shutting down.
Oh, I love it. Man, listen, I love you guys. I love the number one car, and I love the family, and I appreciate you calling in and giving us a report from the Snowball Derby. And how many that's insane. For racing fans that have never been, how do you describe the Snowball versus – I mean, I've been to a lot of local tracks. I've been to the fairgrounds. I've been all over the southeast to local tracks, but I've never been to Five Flags, and I can't imagine what the craziness of the Snowball.
That right there is insanity put into a very small, like one of them little water bottles that you can get. It's just, oh my God. And the worst thing you can get is be a tire man. And I got nominated for that duty. And I don't think I want to do that again.
Oh,
the seafood's good.
So was it the tire composition, or was it just the trickiness of figuring out pressures?
The pressures. They just give you a set amount of time to where you can get them to build up. I mean, you might look at an inch in the front, inch and a half in the back, and I was like, all right, that's what we want. And then you do it, and well, I got an inch and a half in the front, inch and a half in the back. Why don't we swap them? And ta-da, we fixed it. No. Crew chief decided not. So. Y'all have it. Right. I ain't driving that thing. My time's over. I've done my time. I can tell you that right now. No more.
Well,
Stedman,
wish the family well. I'm going to put you on hold. Get Stedman's contact. I want to talk to him offline about Nashville Fairgrounds stuff. That is Stedman's part of the number one silver ride that was down at the Snowball Derby. We were talking about that a week or so ago. It's 12:33. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Quick timeout. Back in a moment. Folks, hope is not a plan. I say that quite often when talking about defense systems because I think it really gets to the point. And the point is this. If you are left in a dangerous situation hoping that someone comes along to get you out of it, if you're left in a dangerous situation hoping that there may be someone else that has a solution to your problem, that means that you are out of ideas and you are out of options. And we don't want you to be out of ideas or out of options. That's where defense systems come in. Defense Systems, Brink Fiddler's Company, is a life safety and security consultation firm based right here in Middle Tennessee. What do? It's simple. They help protect you. They give you and arm you with knowledge and information about active shooter response, about workplace violence, emergency and intruder action plans, rapid response medical training for your facility, and it's all customized specific to your people and your facility. What do you want them to know, and how much do you want them to learn? That's up to you, and Brink Fiddler will work to customize a program specific to your workplace, specific to your school, specific to your church, or wherever people gather. That's what it's all about. Reach out today at 615-236-6484. Right now, Brink and his team are scheduling appointments for the new year. I know we're quickly losing 2023. 2024 will be here before you know it. Let's go ahead and plan these things for 2024 and make your workplace, your school, your church a more secure location. 615-236-6484 or online, defensesystems.com. That was Stedman Marlin. That's pretty cool. Son of Sterling. I'm just I'm letting that wash over me as we sit here.
Man, you're just like you're meeting all the cool people.
Tell you what, man, that's pretty awesome that he called us in a report from the Snowball Derby. I wish I had a longer opportunity to talk with him. I'm going to get him in, and I want to see how his dad's doing. Anyway, 615-737-9986. We'll continue talking with you on the phone about a variety of matters, including Hunter Biden. Now, James Comer and Jim Jordan are announcing. They did this moments ago, about 15 minutes ago or so. At least that's when I saw it come down. That they are planning to hold Hunter Biden in contempt of Congress. This is the same charge that I want to say, did not Bannon get put in jail for this?
Yes, he did. He served time for contempt of Congress.
So, I mean, the rule of law being equitable amongst all Americans, one would presume that this would put Hunter Biden in jeopardy of jail time.
Who told you that?
I'm just working off the old Constitution of the United States, you know.
Well, there's your mistake.
Let's talk to Robbie Starbuck, good friend of the show. Obviously, you know Robbie well. He is as knowledgeable about all of these things as anyone that I know, and we welcome him on the show to talk about another matter. But, Robbie, any thoughts on Hunter Biden? I don't understand why they don't just throw him out there publicly, except that they don't want to give Democrats that level of a platform. But any thoughts on events from earlier today before we get into school choice?
Yeah, you know, they want to throw him out there publicly. They just want to do it after they have the behind-the-scenes thing. So the Democrats are going to spin that into they're afraid to have him publicly. Nobody should be afraid to have him publicly. Him being out there publicly and displaying the links between him and his dad that are just entirely inappropriate, it's wholesale corruption. Nobody can deny it. When it's out there and you see this guy with no discernible skills was doing a business he has absolutely no business being, and he has no expertise in energy or any of these fields, that he was being paid millions of dollars in foreign companies through foreign entities, trading on his dad's name. I mean, it's very clear. Nobody can, hide from that. And the fact that he was then paying the family's bills, including Joe Biden's, I mean, it kind of says everything. But in terms of this contempt issue, they're doing the right thing by holding him in contempt. But here's the issue. Like you said, you're thinking about the Constitution. The Democrats are not. They're playing by their own rules. And the reality is, the people who would have to actually prosecute him are not going to, because they're weaponized against Republicans, not Democrats. And so they're going to just say, hey, this is not worth prosecuting. Sorry, we have other things that are more, pressing, and they're just not going to prosecute it. That's my prediction.
Well, we'll see. It does remain to be seen, and I hope that and I trust that Jim Jordan and James Comer, two men with a lot of sense, have a long game here as to how they're going to proceed on this, and we'll continue to monitor it and continue to discuss it. So I was excited, Robbie. I follow you on social media, follow you on Twitter/X, and you posted up a what looked to be like a little flyer or leaflet, and it said, as I read it, right, I just glance at it as I'm going over my Twitter feed, and it says, After School Santa Club coming to Tennessee. That's what I read when I first read it. and I said, oh, a Santa Club? Oh, well, that's cool. So they're going to let a little
nice to Robbie.
They're going to let a little Santa Claus into the school system. Maybe a little birth of Jesus Christ in the school system. No, it was not Santa Club. It was Satan Club. What in the heck is going on with this? Tell me about it.
So, I mean, principally, let's start here. First of all, it should be no surprise to anybody that the woke people who are trying to indoctrinate our kids in public schools are also now dragging Satan into the public schools to try to indoctrinate our kids with that. And the reality is, again, I always talk about culture when it comes to school choice and why it's so important for our state. When you have these woke schools, even if you do everything right as a parent and your kid is not falling into these traps, they're growing up around these kids that are being indoctrinated with a culture that really is pure evil, in my opinion, the woke indoctrination. And then you add in things like Satan Club, that some kids, who are struggling with home life, may see as an edgy way to rebel. Your kids grow up around them. That culture festers in your state. School choice unlocks the ability for a parent to go, you know what, my kid's not going to be locked into that. I'm going to take power away from these institutions and people who want to, wokeify our kids. And I'm going to put them in a school that matches our family culture. For me, that would be a Christian school. For you, it might be something else. That is a powerful thing that will then ensure Tennessee is a conservative, strong state for decades to come.
So I want to read the flyer, and here's where I would ask you to elaborate a little further, though, Robbie, because I get it. What you just said when it comes to junior high, 8th grade, maybe even 7th grade, certainly in high school, I understand that spirit of rebellion. I went through it. Most of us go through it. Most of us come out unscathed on the other side and recognize the error of our ways. I mean, it's one of my favorite quotes from Mark Twain. He said, "I left home at 17. My father was the dumbest man I'd ever known in my life. I came back 10 years later, and it's amazing how much he had learned in 10 years," right? So, I get rebellion. This isn't high school. As you well know, this is Chimney Rock Elementary School announcing a Satan Club, an after-school Satan Club for elementary age kids. My goodness.
And ask yourself this question. Okay, everybody listening, I will say we actually have some people on our side have a tendency sometimes to defend this stuff and go, well, it's the First Amendment. Ask yourself this question. Why would any adult Satanist be pining for time with elementary school children? Why would they want access to elementary school children? That's a question everybody should be asking themselves. Why? Because there's no good why. There is no good answer to that question, period. And, are they going to allow us to go and evangelize to kids in the school? No, they don't allow us to do that. So I think all of these things should be very clear. Satanism in general should not be given religious protections because they themselves, people who are, in very high leadership positions within their organization, admit that they are not a religion, that this is in itself essentially a form of, a political tactic to try to disempower the ability of religions to stake their claim and place in society, and that they just want to bastardize that in some way. And so, I think it's time for people on the right, especially in political power, to call their bluff and essentially say, no, you don't have these protections, and let's take that up to the higher courts, because I think it's very clear, anyone paying attention, and if there's an AG who goes through all of the actual statements out there from people in high up positions, it's very clear this is a game to them. And they're also, you got to remember, they're playing tax games here too, because there's real money in the organization and they're not paying taxes. And so that's something, again, you got to look at. But go back to that question. Do you have a good answer for why Satanists would want to spend time with elementary school children?
Nope. No.
There's not one. It's crazy.
Moreover, I want to know, I would assume that there has to be a school sponsor. Chimney Rock is in the Memphis Shelby County school system, if I'm not mistaken. And I would think, and by the way, the flyer says January 10th, 2024, spring semester dates, TBD, start time 4:30, end time 5:30. It's an after-school deal at the library at Chimney Rock Elementary School. And I just want to read so folks understand what we're talking about a little further. This is after-school Satan Club. The Satanic Temple is a non-theistic religion that views Satan as a literary figure who represents a metaphorical construct of rejecting tyranny and championing the human mind and spirit. After School Satan Club does not attempt to convert children to any religious ideology. Instead, then why are you calling it Satan Club? Instead, the Satanic Temple supports children to think for themselves. After school Satan clubs are based on activities centered around the 7 fundamental tenets, yada, yada, yada. So, yes, they're hiding. They're trying to have it both ways, but I think their primary purpose is to try to thwart religious-based clubs in and around school systems, to try to expose kids to positive influences that they might not have in their daily life in their homes. I think they're trying to thwart that. But secondarily, you're right. These individuals that comport around this type of ideology like to associate themselves with youngsters. I don't know what their ultimate goals are. I perished the thought. Thoughts come to mind, Robbie, as to why and what they would ultimately be after,
and it's all sick.
And every bit of it. I want to say it, and I don't want to bring it into being by saying it on the radio. But I think all of us understand that if you get your elementary age kid around Satanist, nothing good can come of it.
Yeah, it's kind of like that rule with teenagers. Like if you don't have a curfew for them, nothing good happens after midnight. There's nothing good that has ever happened after that time. Like with teenagers involved. So you've got to set boundaries. And I think midnight even that's way too late. But
well, and we can
still,
and forget
that's the old rule.
And sorry to rush you, but a few minutes left. But forget we could argue the First Amendment, and we could argue the loophole that they exploit. That if you have a Christian-based after-school club, you have to let this garbage in. And I understand the courts have ruled in their favor from time to time. That said, you make the excellent point that this is, if for no other reason, if you don't understand the necessity for school choice in some of these districts, these more liberal-leaning districts in the state of Tennessee, this is your reason to get good Christian-based families an option that may not have the money to get their kids into private school, get their kids into a Christian school. This school choice legislation proposed by the governor, if I understand it correctly, is going to give those families that type of option.
Oh, it is 100%. And I'm going to go on a little rant here, okay, because there's going to be a lot of misinformation about this. The Democrats are going to fund even groups that look like they're right-wing to try to scare people into thinking that, there's some problem with this or the government's going to come in and try to tell you how to teach your kids in private school. They're not. The government already has that power, just FYI to everybody, and they haven't done it here in Tennessee for a reason. And that is not going to be part of this bill. It is about school choice, no strings attached for parents to be able to choose where their kids go, because you deserve a choice where your tax dollars go for your children. And so you got to see through those lies and understand they're trying to keep you from a future where you're in control, where the parent has more power. And that is critical to understand because, groups like AFP Tennessee doing God's work, making this happen, and I'm working with them to do it. You guys can work with them too. Go to afptennessee.com. That's AFPTN. Actually, I think it's .org. And you can follow them on social media at AFPTN and message them, get involved, because this is a fight that can put that money back in our pocket. I mean, this is real money, $7,000 plus per child per year for you to pick what's best for your kids. And, we can't let these people win who want to indoctrinate our kids. I think it's very clear the future path we have is allowing stuff like this, these Satanist clubs in school and wokeness in schools, or us choosing the path of controlling our destiny, our culture, our future, and where our state lies in, a couple decades.
Well, we will have plenty of opportunity to speak on this matter moving forward into the regular session that happens in January. I look forward to that opportunity. Thank you for exposing what's going on over at Chimney Rock Elementary School, and we'll continue to push on that angle of it as well. I hope and pray, if there's nothing legally that can be done to prevent this, that this club ceases to exist from a lack of attendance. I would think, from an elementary perspective, the parents would run as far as humanly possible away from this sort of thing.
Absolutely. And, don't miss that the Satanic Temple nationally is pushing this. Okay, so you talked about money. Somebody's got to be funding this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I would wager a guess it's probably coming from there as part of a strategy. You see a bunch of these left-wing groups like ACLU. They have a southern strategy to come through here, and they're targeting Tennessee. And people like myself, our Attorney General, AFP, we've got our eyes on everything these people are doing to try to change our state. And we're going to stop it, but we need people's support, their help, and everybody be united against it. And, I was going to give you a story tip before you go. Look into this.
Yeah.
Google's AI wants me dead. Okay. I don't know if you've seen this. If you go to my
I don't mean to laugh, but the way you said
it has millions of views. Okay. I think Elon Musk's probably going to chime in soon on this. Their AI was caught actually making an argument for putting me to death for my opinions because they offend some people. And people should look down this dystopian path we're headed on with AI, because imagine that Bard run by Google, it's called Bard, is making decisions about the loans that you get, whether you get hired, your reputation, things like that. It made up wholesale that, these crazy lies, even made fake links, fake stories. So look into it. It's crazy. It's getting covered all over the place right now.
We'll do it, and we'll talk about it further coming up. Be safe there, Robbie. Watch out for the robots. Come on.
I will.
All right. We'll see you, man.
Bye.
Take care. There's Robbie Starbuck joining us for an extended segment. Google AI trying to kill Robbie. That's no good. It's 12:53. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So Pat Davis has been such an invaluable resource to my family. I'm so proud to be able to talk about him on the radio and impress upon you my desire that you give him a call. If you have any questions about your health care, even if you think you've got the right health care plan right now, why wouldn't you talk with Pat, allow him to go over your plan and make sure that it is right for you or right for your family? It's what I did. And now we are engaged in getting my wife a different type of coverage. Thank you to Pat Davis, because he recognized that we had some gaps in coverage and we had some other things that we needed to do. They can provide incredible advice for your health insurance needs. Their Freedom of Choice plan allows you to pick your doctors. It's 30 to 60% lower than Obamacare. The monthly premiums are independent of your income. And what I love is that Pat is not bound by one insurance company or two insurance companies. He can shop all of these insurance companies and make sure that you're getting the right and best coverage for you and for your family. That's what it's all about. Let you design a plan through his sage wisdom that's right by you, that's managed by you, not managed by the government. That's what it's all about. Go to yourhealthplanman.com, yourhealthplanman.com, or call 855-4-PLAN-MAN, 855-4-PLAN-MAN. Tell him Matt Murphy sent you to Your Health Plan Man.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Supreme Court justices will hear arguments in a challenge to the Justice Department's January 6 cases. A decision could impact trials and sentences of defendants. ABC's Stephen Portnoy explains.
This case involves the charge of obstruction of an official proceeding, and the Justice Department has charged more than 300 rioters and Donald Trump with it because the riot upended the counting of electoral votes. The justices will now consider whether the charge has been correctly applied or whether the obstruction needs to be tied to a congressional investigation, as lawyers for some January 6th defendants have argued.
Hunter Biden speaking outside the Capitol before he was due to appear in a closed-door deposition with a House Oversight Committee group called the GOP House investigation illegitimate. Hunter says his father, President Biden, was not involved in any of his business dealings.
There's no evidence to support the allegations that my father was financially involved in my business, because it did not happen.
Today, House Republicans could also vote to formalize the impeachment inquiry into President Biden. As the Israel-Hamas war intensifies, calls are growing for another humanitarian ceasefire. The United Nations voting in favor yesterday of a resolution saying there is no safe place for trapped civilians to flee. The Federal Reserve deciding to keep interest rates unchanged. The board wrapped up its policy meeting today. Analysts predicted that move due to recent data showing inflation is cooling. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze says Americans, though, are still feeling the pinch.
Prices are still going up overall, but not at that fast pace that we saw earlier in the year. The November inflation report shows that there were gains for rent and food in the prices, but gas and clothing sharply declined. When you put it all together, the typical American household is spending about $200 more every month for the same goods and services as they were last year because of inflation.
The Fed chair will deliver remarks this hour. You're listening to ABC News.
Hour number 2 starts right now. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Matt Murphy. Thank you for being with us. Whatever time you're able to give us between noon and 3, I so appreciate it. Really beyond that, live and local conversation starts early in the morning at 5 a.m. and it continues until late in the evening at 7 p.m. That is information-fueled and opinion-driven News Talk Radio right here in Middle Tennessee. Dan Mandis, Nashville's Morning News, Chris Hand, Matt Murphy, and Brian Wilson, and a team, an absolute team with Ken Weaver and Mac Morian. And you know, it's the holidays, and so we wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday season. Hope you're doing well, and thank you for allowing us to be a part of your family for whatever portion of the day that you're able to listen and participate. Participate this way, 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986. That's either the phone lines, and several of you have been holding, and I appreciate that. We'll get to you momentarily. And many of you are super texting in, and we appreciate that as well. Hunter Biden is facing backlash after holding a little press conference on Capitol Hill. I want to share some of this press conference with you. It was, 5 minutes or so of rambling by Hunter regarding his father not being financially involved in his business. You know, testifying before the Congress of the United States of America, holding your hand up and swearing to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help God. Fear of perjury might have something to do with the fact that Hunter wants to go publicly as opposed to have private testimony taken first. James Comer, for his part, and I asked the question in the first hour why he would not do more to accommodate Hunter Biden. Comer says the Congress does not act at the whim of the individual subpoenaed. Never has, never will. Here's Hunter Biden describing the situation as he understands it. All right, I'm not going to be able to play that because, sadly, I don't think I have enough audio on this end, and I don't have Bell K to give me audio on that end, so we'll try to get to that momentarily. Hunter Biden has been there have been calls to hold him in contempt of Congress, which began immediately following the end of the press conference. Others have pointed to his claims concerning his father's relationship with his business dealing. There certainly is a lot of goalpost shifting, all right? So Hunter Biden said that his father was, and I was going to play you the clip here, I'm here to testify at a public hearing today to answer any of the committee's legitimate questions. Let me state as clearly as I can, my father was not financially involved in my business. Well, that's not what Joe Biden has repeatedly claimed over, I don't know how many years now. At first, Joe Biden said he never had a discussion with his son about any of his business dealings whatsoever or any other member of his family. We now have receipts that tie Joe Biden and Hunter Biden in with Hunter Biden's business dealings. Hunter Biden's paying his father out of his business accounts. He's cutting back 10% for the quote-unquote big guy. And then you have this one on Capitol Hill.
And not only is the committee not allowing Hunter Biden to testify publicly, but they have not called a single witness, a single first-hand witness to any of their allegations. They haven't allowed anybody to testify publicly because they do not have a single witness to any of their alleged allegations.
They do have a witness to their allegations, and that witness is Tony Bobulinski, and Tony Bobulinski will be testifying at an appropriate time. Tony Bobulinski, who was the former business partner of Hunter Biden, said that Joe Biden was the big guy, that everyone knew that Joe Biden was the big guy. Look, no one has suggested that this is going to be easy with regard to tying the pieces together. They intentionally made it so it is difficult to follow the money. That's the entire point. That's what a crime family does. They wash the money. It is called money laundering for a reason, because it comes out clean on the other side. It's dirty money on the front end. It's clean money on the back end, and that's the point. It's the entire point. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez knows that, well, I don't know what she knows. I don't know if she knows she's telling the truth or not. I don't. But Tony Bobolinsky obviously is a firsthand witness to all of this who is willing to testify before the halls of Congress of the United States of America. Hunter Biden, for his part, there are calls to hold him in contempt of Congress, rightly so. Now, we mentioned Steve Bannon. I want to clean this up. Apparently, Steve Bannon, because I did some research because I did not remember Steve Bannon doing a perp walk, and I would have remembered that because I fully expect that if it had happened, you would have seen it on all of the Alphabet Soup networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, all of those. I mean, obviously, they would have covered this ad nauseum. Hunter Biden offering to publicly testify. I don't know why, outside of you're not going to dictate how we do this, and outside of not wanting to turn it into a dog, I want to turn it into it. If you've got the goods, let's present the goods. If you're ready for Hunter Biden to testify, let's do it. Now, I get it. You don't want the Democrats their 5 minutes to monologue and pretend like everything's okay and hunky-dory and everything's A-okay. But they're going to be able to do that one way or the other. Eventually, you want to get this in front of the public, don't you? Don't you? So just to clean this up, Steve Bannon was sentenced to 4 months in prison, and he was allowed to remain out of prison as he appeals. So, and I think we erroneously reported in the first hour that he had actually spent time in jail. He was sentenced to time in jail for contempt of Congress, criminal contempt of Congress. He has not yet served that time, although that remains in front of him as we sit here. He remains free from serving that 4-month prison sentence as he appeals his recent conviction on 2 counts of criminal contempt of Congress. That's as of November 7th, 2022, so about a year ago. In the meantime, 615-737-9986. We also spoke with Robbie Starbuck in the Libertarian Lunch Hour regarding school choice as a concept, and more specifically about a Satan club in Memphis, in Shelby County school systems, more specifically. I know it's difficult to believe, but this is actually a thing where there are Satanists that are demanding that they be allowed to utilize public facilities for their Satan club, and they are promoting it to elementary-age kids. What in the world would a parent be thinking to allow their elementary school-age kid to go and visit a Satan club? The After-School Satan Club, ASSC. Which brought up the concept of school choice, which is why Mike has called in, and he's been holding for some time. Mike, good afternoon. Welcome to the Murphy Show. Glad you called.
How you doing, Mr. Murphy? How you doing?
I'm great. Hope you are.
I'm not doing too bad. I already called in last week and spoke to Pamela Furr about this, and kind of offended that we're being called Democrats just because we bring up hard questions regarding this and how it's going to be controlled. Now, I've been a Republican my whole life. I've raised 2 daughters. I've had to pull one out of a deficient school simply because she wasn't getting the education and the school wasn't following along our belief system. So I know a little bit about this program. I've lived it. But the problem is let's look beyond the desk on this. When this thing expands beyond, 20,000 kids today?
Yes. Well, I mean, no. Hold on. I answered incorrectly. It is not 20,000 kids today. As proposed, it would expand to 20,000. It would cap to 20,000. As proposed, if it's passed by the General Assembly in the next session.
Okay. Well, when I called and spoke to Pamela, that was unknown to me that it was about that. It was broadcast that it was sold that this is available to all children. So I was under the impression that all these kids would start applying for this and they'd be able to start going to every school they want. Well, now it's limited to only a small select group of kids. So let's look beyond this.
Wait, hold on. All right, so Mike, so here's the thing. I want to have a discussion with you, but if we have a discussion, then let's have a discussion. And so it is not my goal in any way to interrupt you. However, when you say things that have factual errors in them, I feel compelled to make sure that the listening audience understands that there are some factual errors in what you said.
I'm not opposed to being corrected.
Who sold this as being open to everyone?
Well, all the news broadcasts about it and all the announcements about it, it was never It was sold as a scholarship program open to everybody.
Sold by whom? By whom? Who sold this as a scholarship program that was not limited at 20,000? Because I've not heard that.
Well, it wasn't sold as being limited to 20,000 either.
I'm sorry?
It was not being advertised as being limited to a certain
So
number
when the
of
governor,
students. So it was,
you remember a couple of weeks ago, right now there's a limited scholarship program available in a limited number of counties. You're aware of that?
yes.
In Davidson, Shelby County, and there's one other, I think.
Yes.
And what this program would do, as the governor announced it, now obviously the General Assembly has to formulate the legislation and pass it, so all of the details remain to be worked out. But as presented by the governor, the day that he stood at I think he was at the Museum of History, Tennessee History, down there at the Bicentennial Park, he said that we are going to expand this for 20,000 students. The first 10,000 were going to be need-based only. In other words, your financial need will be the most important consideration beyond some of the other considerations regarding the scholarship, the $7,000 scholarship. And then the other 10,000 would be open to anyone that wanted to apply for them regardless of financial need. That's the way that it was presented to me a couple of weeks ago, and I haven't heard otherwise.
Okay, well, I didn't hear the numbers on it, and that's what I heard was what you just said.
Well, there you go.
So we're kind of on the same page. I just didn't know what the numbers were. I thought it was open to everybody statewide. I thought the numbers were going to get
It is.
beyond.
I mean, that's what it does. It expands statewide. Now, what has been said in the aftermath of the governor's comments, Mike, and this may be what you're thinking about, is that if the program is passed by the General Assembly, and if it works in the manner in which we believe that it will, that the plan is to expand it to open it up to anyone that wants the available scholarship. As long as money is available, then they will have the opportunity. So the plan is to, down the road, eliminate the cap and open it up to anyone.
Okay, I one thing I have to say, I have to pick it's still kind of a bug in my bonnet on this, because the money that is already the taxpayer money that's already following the student from school to school is still there. So when you're talking about if there's funding available, the funding is already there. So my point that I'm trying to make is, and I was trying to make this with Pamela, is it's expanding to 20,000 scholarships right now. What happens when it becomes such an outrage that other students can't make the move that they want to make, and they have to expand it to, say, 100,000 or 200,000, and it gets large enough where all of this public or federal funding is going to these public schools? Then what is going to stop the change of leadership in the state from, if it changes over to a liberal state, what's going to stop them from trying to get a hold of these private schools? My concern is the government, like that guy was saying, there's no way that the government will get a hold of the private schools. But I see that there's a possibility.
Us. We'll stop it.
We don't have a big track record of stopping a lot of that.
You asked. No, wait, hold on, Mike. You asked a question. I gave you an answer. So you're asking what is to stop liberals from infecting the private schools with what has already infected the public schools. And my answer is, it is up to us, the people, to stop that.
Then my point is, why can't we do that now in the public schools?
Why can't we do what?
Why can't we stop the infection that's going on in the public schools today?
Teachers' unions?
And then
primarily,
when I said let's get rid of the teachers' union to Pamela, I got cut off and hung up on it, called a liberal.
Well, maybe you are, maybe you aren't. I don't know. I'll take you at your word. I'm not going to reflect on any conversation that you had with Pamela Furr because I didn't hear it.
That's fine.
And I think it would be unfair to someone who's not here, namely Pamela. So I don't know. I don't know what you guys talk. All I know is that we're talking today, Mike.
Yes.
Right.
Well,
so
my concern is.
Let me back up. All right. So as someone who has had kids in the system,
yes.
Do you believe the public education system broadly? Obviously, there are examples of it working, but do you believe it is broadly failing Tennessee school children?
I believe it's broadly failing U.S. school children.
Okay. Why?
It is. My daughter, when she was in school, in her third grade class, experienced prejudice from her teacher. And she had a dual teacher's classroom, and one teacher liked her and the other teacher hated her. And it was evident of that nature because one teacher would give her the grades based on her performance. The other teacher would just fail her no matter what. And then always had something negative to say about her. And we have a lot more of that being brought into the classrooms from these colleges that are raising these that are educating these kids to believe that it's okay to do that.
Okay, so
there's way too much.
You understand? I mean, we got a lot of people listening, right? So
yes,
I asked you if you believed that the education system in Tennessee was failing. You said, yeah, in the United States, it's failing.
Yep.
And I asked you why, and you told me a story about your kid being disregarded by one of her teachers.
Okay, well, here's the biggest problem is we have deficient schools who are becoming more deficient because now they are no longer requiring children to meet certain standards in order to move on to the next grade.
Why do you think that is?
That would be policy.
Right. Who sets policy?
That would be the teachers' unions as the school districts.
There you go. Now we're at it. Now we're starting to get at it.
Yes.
And the teachers' unions do not want competition. I believe that the competition that this school choice legislation would put into the system is enough reason alone, and thank you, Mike, for the call, enough reason alone to support it. Competition is good. The free market works. Now, you cannot have total free market freedom within a closed system like the public education system. But if we get more free market competition within that system and we allow the private and the Christian schools to compete in these ways, and we give parents the opportunity to utilize money from the state so as to prevent money from being an impediment or an obstacle to getting those competition forces in play, I think it's a great thing. 123 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Cold outside, right? I mean, cold in the morning, cold in the evening. I was putting up some additional Christmas decorations and freezing my eggnogs off. Well, you know what? I wasn't cold when I got inside because Jeff Eddy's on top of things. Efficient Heating and Cooling protects my home and protects my heater, and I want them to protect yours. Efficient Heating and Cooling is a small company, but they're big enough to help you. And in these cold conditions, if you find the heater's not doing what the heater should do, or you're smelling a funny smell, or whatever the situation might be, they can assist you with Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. He will come out, diagnose the issue, and tell you what's going to fix it. He's not going to overcharge you. A lot of companies, they just go to the, let's replace it. Jeff Eddy understands. He's like you. He understands that money's tight. He understands that you're on a budget. He understands the last thing you want to do during the holidays, spend money on your heater. So he's going to fix what ails that system. He's not going to take shortcuts. At the same time, he's going to get maximum life out of your heater. When it comes time, they're a diamond contractor with Mitsubishi Electric, an Elite Pro partner with Rheem. Go ahead and go over to efficienthvac.net and see the difference. efficienthvac.net. A lot of information there. And then give them a call, 615-784-4424, 784-4424 for Efficient Heating and Cooling. Super Talk 99.7 WTN 127. Thank you for being here. Episode 474. It's our anniversary episode, 2 years and accounting on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 615-737-9986. We'd love to hear from you as we continue until 3 o'clock, handing off to Brian Wilson at that time. Boy, oh boy, a lot of you wanting to talk about school choice. I get it. I appreciate that. In the meantime, I continue to ask the question, and I've gotten a few answers, and I'm not trolling you, I promise. I just genuinely don't understand why James Comer and Jim Jordan and others aren't willing to accept. Hunter Biden was standing at Capitol. I'm here to testify publicly. Okay, let's go. Let's testify publicly. Were you not ready for that? Republicans seem to be outplayed from a media manipulation standpoint more often than I'm comfortable with. And James Comer, for me, it doesn't resonate, and I don't know that it resonates with the American people. So you say, we demand Hunter Biden come testify. We subpoena you to testify, right? And then Hunter Biden, and I know that they're playing silly games. They'll win silly prizes out in California, I think, eventually for tax evasion. But they're playing games when they say, oh, we want to testify publicly. They're playing a game of chicken because they think that you will blink, and the Republicans did. When what the Republicans ought to do is go, okay, let's go. Let's set up a chair. Let's set up a table. Let's get some cameras in here. Let's roll. Instead, James Comer goes, well, you're not going to dictate the terms of how we do things. Well, for the average American that isn't as smart as you and doesn't pay as much attention as you do, this is what they notice. They haven't paid a bit of attention to this. Just imagine if you're just a dunderhead, you're one of these, rock and roll FM music listeners, and you're not listening to Matt Murphy on Super Talk or whatever. I'm not knocking it, but those people exist. At our best, we get 20% of the population, right? So imagine you're just an average Joe, and you're like, well, wait a minute. Hunter Biden did all these bad things, and they think his dad was involved, and they demanded that he come testify. And he shows up and he says, well, yeah, but I want to do it publicly so everyone gets to hear. And the Republicans refuse to let him. Who looks bad in that scenario? Just use your brains. I mean, I'm not yelling at you. I'm just yelling. That should be that should be the motto. That should be the mission statement of this radio show. I'm not yelling at you. I'm just yelling.
I'm going to isolate that.
I mean, you know what I'm saying, though, right? It just kind of looks bad. Think a couple of moves ahead. One of the reasons that Trump drove liberals crazy is at least he was thinking a couple of moves ahead, or he always had a counter. At least. Sometimes as ridiculous as it was, at least he had something to say about something. I don't know. Lindsay's next up in Pleasant Shade. Hey, Lindsay, how are you?
Hey, I'm all right, Matt. I wanted to wish you, I'm sorry it's off topic, but happy anniversary.
Oh, you're very sweet. Thank you. 2 years and counting. I'm in my terrible twos now.
Well, we're glad you're here. It was great seeing you at the Christmas party, running around with your crazy hat. That was fun. I hope you got my Christmas card.
I did. You're very sweet, Lindsay. Thank you.
I also wanted to real quick thank you for being there on Saturday when the storms came through. I had college girls running around going home from the Walmart right when it was touching down in Murfreesboro. And I was able to call their cell phone and say, get out of there and get to shelter. And then, of course, our power went off, so I got 8 big old double D batteries in my radio. So we had a lantern and a radio to hang out with for a couple hours until our lights came back. So it was a great comfort, you guys telling us what was going on and where.
Well, thank you. It's our pleasure, Lindsay. Obviously, we don't want to be here on a Saturday because if we're here on it, from a personal perspective, it's a day off. But more importantly and more to the point, if we're here on a Saturday, whether it's Ken Weaver, myself, Dan Mandis, Brian Wilson, whoever it might be, that means that there's bad things happening to good people. And there were a lot of bad things Saturday afternoon and evening happening to good people. And the cleanup continues. I know that there's a cleanup effort in Sumner County that we've been telling you about. Those folks on Saturday, I think between 8 and 3, are cleaning up. I've got a few details on that I'll share with you coming up in just a moment. Scott, we'll get to you as well. Cameron Smith is here early. I don't know whether I'll tell you what. Let's take a vote during the break. Should we let Cameron on early?
Yes.
Okay, you're voting yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Mac Morey votes yes. 615-737-9986. Just yes or no. Should we let Cameron on early? Super Talk Net. And what does Elon say? Vox Populi, Vox Deus. The word of the people is the word of God.
Oh, I thought that had something to do with vaccinations.
It didn't. My Latin's coming in handy. I was a Latin guy in college. Latin 101, A. Latin 102, B. Latin 100C, D. Latin 10, it was 101A, 102B, 103D, 104D.
So you didn't take...
It was those damn gerunds and gerundives that were just wearing me out. Anyway, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My favorite response so far, I asked a question, should we let Cameron Smith on early? And my favorite response so far is maybe. I don't know why that tickles me so much. I'll tell you what, if you are in pain and you have a difficult time laughing, if you have a difficult time during the holidays, I have a solution for you. It's through the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief. You'll go in and, occasionally you still see Dr. Gill. He's not there as often as he used to be, but here's what Dr. Gill did, and it's a wonderful thing. He cultivated like-minded chiropractors who do business his way, like Dr. Wendy, like Dr. Dominic, like Dr. V, and so many others at the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief. It is a team approach to helping you alleviate your pain wherever it emanates from your body. And if you're experiencing pain and it's debilitating, or if you can't cover it with pills, or if you're tired of taking the pills, you don't want to take shots, and you don't want to consider surgery, might I ask you to call the Dr. Gill Center, schedule an appointment, whether it's before the Christmas holiday or just after. Let's get to a better pain-free life in 2024, thanks to the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief. A chiropractic center, of course, but they also work on soft tissue with their red light therapy, their Class 5 laser system, and, of course, the modern spinal decompression that they brought to Middle Tennessee some 30 years ago. 615-882-4838, 882-4838. The Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Dr. Gill. All right. I think it's unfortunate that Mac Morey, who's back busy in the newsroom gathering headlines, and Bell K voted early on because they presented their bias prior to being the adjudicators of the contest. But we're going to adjudicate this together, okay?
Yeah.
So 138 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's our big anniversary show. Happy anniversary. Happy anniversary. Fun for you and fun for me. Happy anniversary. Thank you. So don't you talk. Don't you do it. Don't keep his mic off for now. Don't you do it.
I already have him on camera.
So that's fine. That's fine. He can sit there. Oh, no, jeez. Oh, boy.
There you go, Cameron.
Smoozer.
So Cameron Smith, who's normally with us on Wednesdays at about 2 o'clock, has gotten here early. And I asked the question because Cameron is something of a, I don't want to say controversial figure, but it's the first word that comes to mind. He's you know, love him or hate him. I mean, trust me, I feel the same way. Imagine how I feel. I'm in the room with him.
When he came in here before he came in there and sat down, literally said to me, I should be head of Satan Club.
Satan
Don't you let him talk yet. See what he does? He's infiltrating us. Hold on. We're going to get to Satan Club. You just be quiet. So here's the response. I asked, should we let Cameron on early? Sure. 5612. Sure, it's always good to have a liberal on from time to time.
That's hurtful.
And that has to be Dan Mandis and his throwaway burner phone because he said just kidding at the end. Sure, it's always good to have a liberal on from time to time. Just kidding. I'm kidding. Kidding. Moving on.
That's all I got.
Yes for Cameron. Yes. Yes for Cameron. Is he not a golfer from Australia?
Yes.
That's
Can't
what
you
I
tell
hear.
by the accent?
That's what I hear. Say it right. Say yes, mate.
Yes, mate. I'm like so not Australian.
Then Bob says, why are you doing? Oh, Bob, I'm going to get to your comment in just a moment because I think it's important. Because Bob has a comment about the closed door nature of the deposition versus a public deposition. Don't punish him for being to work early. That's the best argument yet. I don't want to punish a guy for getting here early. Yes, I mean, like, when's the last time Mac Morey was at his job early?
This morning.
Was he really?
Yeah, he's always early.
Wait a minute. You were here at 9 o'clock?
No, but I'm texting with him.
What are y'all texting about?
That ain't none of your business.
What are y'all doing?
Yeah, don't worry
What the
about
hell's
it.
going on back there? Talking behind my back.
He's not even paying attention.
No, I know. I don't know what he's doing in there. No, nah, make him wait. No, please. Yes, yes. Happy second. Yes, no. Okay, so, all right.
He looks like the Tennessee Holler guy.
Don says, for the love, just to do it and get it over with. So, yeah, well, let's do it and get it over with. Cameron Smith.
Rip the Band-Aid off. For those of you all on camera, I'm showing you my Mitt Romney tattoo right now. Just really, I'm talking to you, Ray.
Yeah, Jason said that you could be on as long as you talked nice about Mitt Romney and trashed Trump.
Thank you, Jason.
Jason's a chaos man like myself. He's a troublemaker.
Yeah.
How's it going?
It's going great. What are we talking about though?
Satan Club.
Yeah. Well, we struggle with the fact we don't actually believe Satan is real at Satan Club. Did you notice that when Robbie was on?
No, it's in the flyer.
Right.
They're like, we call our club Satan Club. We don't really believe in Satan.
Worst club ever.
Right.
Like,
I thought the first rule of Satan Club is you don't talk about Satan Club.
So this made me think. I remember being at Christ Presbyterian Academy.
Your first night at Satan Club, you Satan.
No, seriously. This is for real. 3rd grade, Christ Presbyterian Academy. And we were convinced because I don't know if it was a teacher or somebody talked about the Satanists off Old Hickory that were holding a black mass. And we were terrified because somebody was like, yeah, because this is, obviously during Halloween. And they're like, yeah, the Satanists over there, they sacrifice goats. And we're like, what? And so that I remember distinctly in 3rd grade, the Satanists off Old Hickory were a real problem.
I read that this is the flyer that they're presenting, and I'm going to read it to you, but it's for Chimney Rock Elementary. And when I first read it, I just kind of glanced at it. I thought it was Santa Club. I thought, after school Santa Club. And I just for a brief second before I realized what I was reading, I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm surprised they're allowed to do that because that's kind of a Christian relationship with the whole holiday thing and blah, 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 blah. Oh, no, it's Satan. Never mind. Okay. Never mind.
I scheduled the Robbie Starbuck podcast to go up, and I was putting all these ridiculous hashtags on it, and one of them I put on it was Satan Claus is coming to town.
So here's the flyer. It sounds like we're making this up. This sounds like a Saturday Night Live skit. So I'm going to do it in this language or this. After school Satan Club is coming to Tennessee. And there's a little cartoon Satan. There's a little cartoon Satan. Look, you can see it, guys.
It's your friendly neighborhood Satan. It's
yeah, it's whatever. They don't believe him. And their motto is benevolence and empathy, critical thinking, problem solving, creative expression, personal sovereignty, and compassion. Okay. Hey, kids, let's have fun at After School Satan Club. The Satanic Temple is a non-theistic religion that views Satan as a literary figure who represents metaphorical constructs of rejecting tyranny and championing the human mind and spirit. Once again, they're talking to, 10-year-olds?
Yeah. My boys would be like, sounds like a bunch of dorks.
After School Satan Club does not attempt to convert children to any religious ideology. Instead, the Satanic Temple... Yeah, but if you got a temple...
Right.
Who you...
We don't actually worship Satan.
But we have a temple.
To not do that. Cool, guys.
The Satanic Temple supports children to think for themselves. Well, I think I want to go to another club.
Yeah. This sounds like, okay, I thought like AC/DC, remember, like Against Christ, Devil's Children, like you're listening to like hard rock music.
Right.
And doing probably some drugs out of a bowl. Yeah, there's like a lot of the,
whatever, all that kind of thing.
Yeah. No. These guys are like...
They got the Ozzy albums. They're playing...
Right. Backwards.
Johnny is the devil. Johnny is the devil.
Do you realize how disappointing this club would be to kids that went thinking they're getting that? And it's like, we have coloring books to talk about benevolence and empathy and the metaphorical representation of our Dark Lord. Like, what is happening here? I'm not...
Hey, Bobby, what did you do today in Satan Club? I colored a picture of Satan planting a tree to save the planet. What?
Right. It's just, I sometimes wake up and I'm like, is this world real? Okay, cool, man.
I mean, when I realized what we were dealing with, it reminded me just a week ago, the Iowa.
Yeah.
They put the little Satan thing up in Iowa because somebody complained and somebody did a lawsuit.
And they drew the line at an actual goat skull. They were like, you can have a representation of a goat skull.
But you can't have an actual
But not an actual goat skull. I'm like, guys, who's the bureaucrat that's in charge of that to be like, which skull are you using? Okay, good. Now it's okay.
So stupid.
Right.
I mean, but what I want to believe is that there's going to be a meeting on January, whenever it was, January 10th. They'll have their... at the library, 4:30. I mean, is there a teacher sponsor? Doesn't there have to be a...
My whole point is, and I'm with you on this stuff, like more speech, more... Yeah. You should do it. You should have that. And then all the people that go to that, wow.
Yeah. And let's report back as to what we saw.
Right. Like, but that's my point, is that what parent is like, yep, I think that's probably...
I'm just imagining whoever the teacher, like, what do you call them? Not sponsors, but like when teachers... When they're in charge of the after-school activity, right? There has to be a teacher there.
Yeah.
There has to be someone in the school system there. And I'm just imagining it's someone's elementary school teacher. And so I'm imagining I'm the parent at the school board meeting after the satanic meeting. It's like, hey, so...
questions.
So I don't think it's too much for me to ask that, like, Cindy, my child, is taught by a non-Satanist. Is that possible?
Well, can you imagine how awkward it is? I mean, if I came in here and was like, hey, so we're having Satan camp. Do you guys mind passing this out and like seeing if anybody's interested? Like, how do you talk to your colleagues about that? How do you, and I'm okay.
Satan camp.
Right.
That's a better one. Let's do some Satan camp.
Right.
We should be in charge of doing Satan camp next summer.
Well, my point on all these things is it's designed to shock.
Hot at Satan camp.
No AC. Hot. But my point is, it's designed to provoke a reaction, and I think we also got to be careful here, not taking the bait and being like, okay,
Mr. Cameron, why is it so hot at Satan camp? Get used to it, kid.
It's only going to get worse.
It's only going to get worse.
I mean, you got to look past some of this stuff and be like, yes, do people take this seriously? I guess, but it's kind of on the nose, and I would just be like if they tried to do something like that in, like, for example, Nolensville, most of the parents I know would be like, well, that's weird, and that would be it.
But it would be, and part of me make fun of it because these types of things die on the vine for a lack of attention,
right?
A lack of oxygen, right? They'll start Satan Club. Elementary school Satan Club. Now, if this were high school, I'd get it because, kids want to rebel and whatever, and it's so cool. I'm wearing a black trench coat. I'm Satan. But this will just die on the vine.
Right.
Because these kids are too young to understand what the hell they're trying to be indoctrinated into. Yeah. Even if there is this grand nefarious intent, the entire concept, even if they believe what they claim to believe, that Satan is a construct, a metaphorical construct, then that construct was designed to represent evil. Right. It was designed to represent badness. And if you want to keep it in that construct, then you're telling me that bad is good, which then ceases to be bad, ergo it ceases to be Satanist.
Right.
Right?
Well, both the Bible and Vampire in Brooklyn talk about this, like, evil is good. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be a real awkward after-school
That's why
club.
I have, if I have any modicum of appreciation, and I only know about this because my wife forced me to watch the first one, the Twilight deal, they managed to make, in a way, vampires likable. Because they had the good vampires and then they had the really bad vampires. Yeah. And so you naturally you gravitate and you like the emo, emotional, teenage angst-ridden vampires because they're, after the real bad vampires that want to rip everybody's heads off.
This is good radio.
I feel good about it.
I'm glad.
Aren't you glad you got? This is what we do before you get here. We talk politics started at 2. So
you are a highly ranked radio show.
I'm number 13.
I've seen that.
Yeah, or number 3, depending on which poll you listen to or watch. So
can't believe those polls.
If the station was rated today, but it's not going to be. Actually, it is.
It would be number 10.
Oh hell yeah, we're moving up. We're moving up quickly with Satan Camp.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, we should start. We need to construct this and do a fake promo for Satan Camp. Hi, it's Cameron Smith and Matt Murphy for Satan Camp.
That needs to be Cameron's segment moving forward is Satan Camp on Matt Murphy's show.
It's just so ridiculous. In fact, what a great tool to get kids to come to church. Actually, my church should consider
everybody grab your oars. We're going to go canoeing in the lake of fire.
Right. Matt, pour the gas on the water. Light it. Let's go. I mean, there's a movie there or something. It's pretty awesome.
That's pretty good. Actually, that's not a bad. That's not so. Two guys. Oh, see, I see this movie where the two guys they have something. And they camp and it has to be different and blah blah blah. And it's Satan Camp. There's something going on there. Yeah. All right, 152. Scott, I see you out there. I want to talk about Hunter Biden. I'm going to ask you. Well, we'll get into more serious matters. I mean, not that it's not serious. That there's an after-school Satan club. I get it, but I have to make fun of it because it's so stupid. 152 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, holiday season is a stressful time for a lot of us. I mean, there's a lot of things going on. And in the midst of a lot of things going on, you're putting decorations up, you're wrapping presents, you're going shopping, you're dealing with that level of stress. You're also, putting up with family, and you're eating a lot and you're drinking a lot for a lot of us. According to the American Heart Association, more people die from heart attack during the last week of December than any other time of the year. That has to be stress-related. But it is also all about eating and drinking and all of that. Let's be proactive. Let's get an assessment of what's going on inside of your body with Kraft Body Scan. Let's go ahead and schedule this. I've done this. I absolutely love the concept. Now, I admit I'm a little bit of a hypochondriac. When I feel a little pain in my side, I'm like, oh, there's the cancer and I'm going to die. Well, I know I'm not going to die because I've had a full body scan, thank you to Kraft Body Scan, and believe it or not, my heart's in the 1 percentile for someone my age, which I love. My lungs are in the 1 percentile for someone my age, which I absolutely love because I smoked earlier in my life. I mean, I have that comfort, that peace of mind that everything's A-OK in my body. What about you? Heart and lung scan right now for a low cost. Normally, this is in the thousands of dollars for you and a loved one, $149 to introduce you to Kraft Body Scan. They're relatively new in Nashville, but they've been around since 2017, providing incredible CT scans. They take about 5 minutes. You don't have to take off your clothes or anything like that. It's a normal just experience. You go into the scanner. About 5 minutes later, you come out, and a certified radiologist goes over the results. Kraft Body Scan. Spell Kraft with a C. KraftBodyScan.com, or give them a call and schedule an appointment. 615-436-1000, 436-1000.
2 o'clock, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. 57 degrees right now on Music Row. Latest forecast coming up in 2 minutes. The Federal Reserve Board has decided to leave interest rates unchanged. It's the third straight unchanged for the Fed. Policymakers are also indicating that rate cuts could be coming in 2024. Alexis Christoforous.
The Fed's statement said the committee would take multiple factors into account for any more policy tightening. That word any had not appeared previously. The Fed now signaling we could get 3 interest rate cuts in 2024. It had previously indicated perhaps 1 rate cut. Some ambitious on Wall Street thought we might get 4 rate cuts.
And the threat of a contempt of Congress charge looms against Hunter Biden after he missed a deadline to testify before the House Oversight Committee. Instead, he gave a surprise public statement to the media saying he's willing to testify in a public forum that his father, President Biden, had nothing to do with his foreign business dealings. He calls the GOP allegations baseless.
The light of my dad's love for me and presented it as darkness. They have no shame.
And President Biden facing an impeachment inquiry to be formalized today by House Republicans. And nearly all Teslas are currently under recall over concerns about the company autopilot driver assist technology. 2 million Teslas are being recalled over worries autopilot doesn't have enough safeguards to ensure drivers aren't misusing it. Tesla is offering a software update that will fix the issue. That is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Matt Murphy. It's Libertarian Corner on Super Talk 99.7 WTN 205. Thank you.
No.
What? What?
It's Satan Club hour.
No, that was last hour.
No, that was last half hour.
I'm getting in trouble because I'm told that even a conversation picking on Satan Club is dabbling in Satan Club, and to be a part of Satan Club is dangerous because there are rules.
Not if you don't talk about Satan Club.
Well, as we established last hour, the first rule of Satan Club is not to talk about Satan Club, and the second rule of Satan Club is if it's your first night at Satan Club, you have to Satan.
I'm sorry. I don't care what anybody says.
I think that's funny, and anyone that has seen the movie thinks that funny. And if you haven't seen the movie Fight Club, you're wondering what the hell we're talking about. Cameron Smith, have you seen Fight Club?
I have.
Yeah.
His name is Robert Paulson.
Yeah. Yeah. That's wasn't that Meatloaf?
Yeah.
Meatloaf was Paulson, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Stood on the porch for a while.
Yeah.
Finally got in. Didn't end well for him. That's pretty bad. Anyway, 205, welcome. There's Cameron Smith, a.k.a. our beloved Cameron Romney. That's a shout-out to Ray. He loves you. He listens for you.
I know.
We'll discuss all things politics with Cameron Smith over the course of the last hour before handing off to Brian Wilson and The Drive. If you don't know what we're talking about regarding Satan Club, miss a moment, miss a lot. There's apparently a Satan Club opening up after school outside of Memphis at an elementary school in January, and I expect that it will open up, and after a couple of weeks or a couple of meetings, it will die off for a lack of interest or attendance. I pray, literally pray to God that that's the case, because I would hate to think that we live in a world where elementary school Satan Club flourishes in Tennessee. What do you make of what's going on Capitol Hill? So am I being overly hard on James Comer and Jim Jordan and others when I say you should have been ready for this? You should have seen this coming. So they subpoena Hunter Biden. They tell him he has to come to Congress to testify behind closed doors.
Right.
Hunter Biden makes a public display of himself in ways different than he has done in the past.
You need to clarify that.
He has a little impromptu press conference, quote unquote, in front of the Capitol, saying that he's there willing to testify publicly, but the American people deserve to see this, and he's not going to do things behind closed doors where shady things go on, and he wants to testify publicly. Now, I understand and I get it that you do things differently in private than you do in public.
Yeah.
A public hearing is a different deal than a private deposition. And that point was made on the super text line, and I've lost it. So whoever made the point, thank you. I think it was Don, if I'm not mistaken. But did they not see this angle, and were they not ready for it? Why don't they let him go testify publicly?
So the first thing is, what's the precedent here? Because we now actually do have precedent with the way the Democrats handled Trump. And I believe it was Don Jr. and some other folks. They brought him in early. They did the behind the scenes. This is basically so staff counsel can prep questions and have a little bit more time. They're not sort of on the shot clock with the hot takes. They ask all these questions. They kind of figure out how they want to go with things. And then they do the public hearing. And then what they try to do is catch you in a contradiction, right?
Mm-hmm.
You testified that to this, and now you're saying something different. So that's the game. That's how it's traditionally played. Strategically, Hunter Biden, either he should just say nothing, which seems like he's not capable of, or strategically saying, I'm here. Why are you not ready? I want to show the American people that there's nothing wrong here. And I do think strategically it was a fumble to not have an answer for that and to say, no, you don't get to dictate. You don't. He's like, I'm going to talk right now. You're not ready.
Well, the difference between the two, and if my memory serves me correctly, I think Don Jr. testified for like almost 40 hours.
Yeah, there's a lot.
The deposition that is given privately, you don't have the time constraints.
Correct.
The structure is completely different. So there's less of an ability to monologue. There's less of an ability not to answer questions.
Correct.
And there's less of an ability, because there's no reason to, cameras aren't there, for the Democrats to demagogue and to go off on monologues about how this is all a circus and a witch hunt and all of that.
Sure.
I understand that they're invested in the interest of getting to the truth, and they believe the best way to get to the truth is private deposition. But I don't understand why they did not conceive of this being a possibility, of him refusing to testify privately and saying that he would do so publicly, because I'm not saying it's not, the distinction's not important. What I was saying last hour is the average person that's not listening to talk radio, that's not paying close attention to this, all they hear is the Republicans want him to testify behind closed doors. He said he would do it in front of the public. They don't see the difference between the two.
Yeah, and if you're explaining in this context, you're losing.
Right.
And I think the issue here for Republicans is the same issue that it's been for a while now. They've already been looking for how do we tie Joe Biden to Hunter Biden stuff. Everybody thinks Hunter Biden's a scumbag. Like, that's pretty clear. Probably criminal, all this stuff, right? Real big bad. What Republicans have to do to impeach Joe Biden credibly is tie Joe Biden to that. Probably from an economic standpoint, it's probably not enough to just say, well, you know, he helped Hunter out. It has to be, hey, he really derived a benefit from abusing his personal office. What Republicans are probably going to settle for is his family benefited. Even though he might not have directly himself, his family definitely did, because guess what? Hunter Biden has no discernible skill to warrant these kind of payments absent his proximity to Joe Biden.
I believe, given the time, they can demonstrate the direct connection, although the Biden family has done everything in their power to prevent that.
Of course, and that's what's going to happen here from a hearing standpoint. Is think of it this way. Joe Biden and Hunter Biden already know what the truth is, right?
Right.
They know what they did and didn't do. If there's something there that they're trying to hide, they're just going to drag it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the whole point, is drag it. Everybody, it's already baked into the cake, more or less, from an electoral standpoint. Like, folks that think Joe Biden did something serious here, the margin that you're going to change minds on is relatively small, unless you can tie him economically to those payments. And that, to me, depends less on Hunter Biden and more on forensic accounting.
Well, but I also think it depends on how the media decides to play it, because sadly, a lot of people still get their news from ABC, CBS, NBC, and CNN. And they've decided that they're going to be intentionally confused by all of this. Like, they don't understand how money laundering works, right? Money laundering is called that for a reason. It's dirty money on the front end. It comes out clean on the other end. That's the purpose of money laundering. So, and I believe that that's what happened to get money back to Joe. I believe that. But it's going to appear clean when it gets to Joe. That's the point. They have excuses ready-made. Hey, I had to buy a truck, a Ford Raptor. I don't know if you heard this one, that Hunter Biden's company was paying a Risca or a Rasco or whatever it's called, was paying Joe Biden, his dad, $1,380 a month. And we're like, what is this for? This seems suspicious that your company's kicking it back while you're getting this Chinese investment. That was repayment for a truck that he co-signed for me. So there's always going to be a reason, but what you have to do is, like you're saying, from a forensic accounting standpoint, is get beyond that and connect the real dots. But in order for that to get to the American people and understand what Joe did or didn't do, I think it takes a media that's willing to look at this fairly, and I don't think they are.
Well, it also, it's access. Like, until you get a criminal prosecution here and you get discovery, it's going to be a game of hide the ball, because Congress already has subpoena power. Just because you have an impeachment resolution or an impeachment inquiry resolution,
which they're voting on today,
it doesn't make it your subpoena now more magical. The White House is acting like it does, but they're going to still play hide the ball. Like, it's just Congress has subpoena power. It can enforce the subpoena power, hold you in contempt, and then guess who's prosecuting? DOJ.
Right.
And so,
they're going to be fair,
right? So like, this is the whole sort of chase your tail around here that I think we're going to do until you get a Republican administration there, and they're going to say, okay, cool, I need you to investigate this. Now let's get a grand jury. Let's get actual discovery in what's going on.
Here's the Dog and Pony show going on right now at the White House press room.
Is the president okay with his son defying a congressional subpoena?
I'm just not going to get into specifics on that. I would have to refer you to the president's not the president, but Hunter's personal representatives. He's a private citizen. I'm just not going to get into it.
Did you hear what she did? She almost boxed herself in, and then she realized halfway in that she was boxing herself in, and she had to get out of it. Like, the question was not, is Hunter Biden okay with Hunter Biden defying a congressional subpoena? It's, is the president of the United States okay with a member of his family choosing to defy a properly ordered subpoena by an equal branch of government. And I just listen. Maybe it amuses me more than anybody else. But
okay with his son
listen to the answer.
Subpoena?
I'm just not going to get into specifics on that. I would have to refer you to the president's.
The president's who? Who would you refer us to? The president's, I don't know, press secretary?
Yeah.
Right?
Have you not
Which is
figured out by
you.
now she does not answer questions? I mean, frankly, no press secretary answers questions that they don't want to answer.
Do better than this.
But that's pretty blatant. It's like,
no, so she's so used to, she's been doing this for so many months, where if I ask you a question, if I ask Karine Jean-Pierre a question about the Department of Justice, like, she will refer you to the Department of Justice or the Air Force or the Pentagon or Hunter Biden. So she was asked a question about the president, and she started to I would have to refer you to the president's. The president's what? That's you.
yeah, I mean, what we're seeing here is that the Biden administration has melted into a pile of mush on so many fronts. Southern border, 2 wars globally, like, all these things are not going great. I mean, even the stuff with higher ed, when CNN is like, hey, guys, I don't think what we're doing in higher ed is great anymore, you've lost. And that's what's so shocking here is the Biden administration could pivot on so many other fronts. Like, for example, the easy one is, hey, guys, you know, you want to continue supporting Ukraine? Yeah, we do. Cool. Let's have some border funding here. Like, this is the good deal right here. And instead of doing that and saying, yeah, we actually got a good game plan here, it's a compromise, it's like, well, actually now I don't think we want that.
Well, you know what? And I don't mean to give them ideas, but I thought of this last night, because Joe Biden supposedly is the great compromiser.
Mm-hmm.
He has touted his 50-plus year reputation in Congress as a senator as being a guy that's
Deal
willing
maker.
to. I'll reach out and I'll make deals with John McCain or whomever is willing to make deals. And it occurs to me, take the victory, right?
Yeah.
Get your Ukraine funding. Say, yes, we've agreed to a framework with House Republicans that we're going to fully fund some border security, and then just don't do it. Right? So you fund it, but in order
Slow walk it.
you just you let the money just sit there. The exact Obama administration did this, where he got money to fund further border security, and they just didn't enact it.
But this is where, like, and again, I don't know what's happening with John Fetterman, but the fact that he's like, guys, actually, it's completely
Or maybe
reasonable.
it's what's happening to you.
It's completely reasonable to secure the border.
John Fetterman is making more sense than almost any other Democrat in Washington, D.C.
Right. And he's like, why don't we do this? And, oh, by the way, you know, Vladimir Putin's a thug. Like, support Ukraine at the same, like, guys, this is a no-brainer.
I'll give you the trifecta. Now, I disagree on the Ukraine thing. That's fine.
Sure.
But there is a legitimate, like, you and I could have legit debate about the importance for the United States of America to assist Ukraine. We could have that, right? So he agrees with that. Then Fetterman agrees with border security. And then he's like, hey, I don't think it's a good idea for Americans to run around college campuses screaming about from the river to the sea, Palestine, it will be free. That's calling for genocide. That's probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
Huh. Fetterman making some sense.
Well, and I think even, like, so I kind of see where the votes are with the Ukraine thing, but, like, for me to not like Russia and say, hey, you know, this is a values battle, all that stuff, I still would not support standalone Ukraine funding without the border security right now.
No.
I would just be like, this is a fair deal. Like, we are serving two different interests.
Well, you're holding Ukrainian funding hostage.
Hell yeah.
That's their answer. I was talking this morning to our mutual friend Dale Jackson in Alabama. I was doing an interview with him, and I was like, I love how the Democrats change the rules, you know, depending on how it benefits them, right? Yeah. Hey, this is the way we do things around here. We have to compromise. I mean, that's what it's all about. So let's make a compromise, guy. Let's compromise when they want to incrementally do something that's very important to them. Then when suddenly they don't want to do something, oh, we're not going to be held hostage to the Ukrainian funding. You're killing Ukrainian babies or whatever. It's all about the field.
But it's all rationally based. Like, it makes sense. It's like, hey.
It's connected. We want to protect Ukrainian borders. We want to protect American borders. Border security all over the world.
Well, it's also the fact that, like, you know what? Folks might be upset at what we're doing in Ukraine and Israel. And they might want to hurt us. And we should probably have a secure border. So, okay, this makes sense. Let's do it.
Yeah, in a more direct and real way.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Scott is on the line. He wants to talk about Hunter and other things. Hello, Scott. How are you? Huh, really? Well, that's interesting. You don't say.
He's learned from Corinne Jean-Pierre.
That's a bombshell. Holy, did you hear what he just said? Oh, my goodness. I can't believe what we're hearing.
Right now, somebody is out there going, I can't hear the caller. I can't hear the caller.
Oh, my. Did you hear what he said, Bell?
No.
Oh, do you have it on tape?
No.
There's some of your listeners that are so struggling right now.
Oh, my. I can't believe. You guys didn't hear that? That's incredible. That's something else. You're never going to hear that on radio again. Tell you that.
The host new clothes.
We might get a little. It's good. I was in that show. That's pretty good. In the meantime, let me just laugh a little.
Can you tell us when the last time the two of them spoke?
I mean, I'm also not going to get into private conversation that the president has with his family. We've been pretty consistent. That's nothing new. We're just.
She asked, when's the last time he spoke with his kid? And she won't answer the question. Yeah, that's where we are in American politics. It's 2:21 on Super Talk. Hey, friends, Tennessee Men's Clinic has 2 locations to serve you. The holiday season is a stressful time, a lot of energy expended. Gentlemen, if you feel low on energy in the afternoons, if you're having to, do what you need to do, loading up on caffeine or whatever it is that you do to increase your energy, might I recommend you go over to the Tennessee Men's Clinic and see what's going on in your body. They'll take some blood from you. They'll give you a complete examination. They'll go over you tip to stern, and then they'll diagnose the issue. And if it is a certain T level, and maybe you've dropped below the levels that you ought to be at, they can help repair that, correct it, and get you back to a good energy level. Now, they talk a lot about how this ultimately will manifest itself. And sadly, for a lot of men, that happens in the bedroom, and you lose that relationship, that intimacy of relationship that you had with the loved one in your life. You don't need to allow this to happen. There's no shame in this game. Half the men that I'm talking with right now on radio will experience this at some point in their lives. So let's take care of it. Let's handle our business, gentlemen, by going to the Tennessee Men's Clinic. At least schedule an appointment for the new year. They're taking appointments up until Christmas, and they're taking appointments for 2024. Call them today at 615-208-9090. That's 208-9090. Or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. 2 locations to serve you. One's in Midtown Nashville and the other in Franklin and Cool Springs. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to the one and only Tennessee Men's Clinic. Hey, friends, Matt Murphy for USS, United Structural Systems. For most of us, if you're not, Taylor Swift or whatever, for most of us, the largest one-time expense that you're going to make is your home. Maybe it's the home that you're currently in or the home of your dreams that you're thinking about purchasing. What if I told you that home had structural problems? You want to fix that, right? Now, a lot of us ignore it. It happens where you just kind of whistle past the graveyard and want to believe that it's not happening to you. But if you've noticed the warning signs, you need someone you can trust. You need USS, United Structural Systems. USS has been in business, and they've been at it since 1994, and they have over 25,000 testimonials, giving you a 100% satisfaction guarantee. You can find it on their website, ussTN.com. Foundation repair, they take care of that. The polylift, I should say, concrete leveling system, they can handle that too. Waterproofing, they've got you covered at USS. Homeowners simply trust USS. So if the time has come to make the call, don't wait. Call USS. Schedule for the 2024 season, 615-488-7855, 488-7855 for USS.
The Federal Reserve making a decision on interest rates, and a teenager died today in a crash. We'll tell you when, where, and how it happened. 2:30, Super Talk, 1097 WTN.
Thank you much, Mac Morey. It's 2:27 right now. Matt Murphy and you. Cameron Smith joining us. He's our good friend, colleague, and he'll be in quite a bit next week.
Oh, yes.
I love that. I could only handle you. You're a little. I don't like that you're a little too good. So you only get 1 week on my show, or at least 4 days. And then you shift over to Chris Hand after that, the week after Christmas.
It's going to be fun. I mean, there's a lot going on right now, from school choice to we're hitting primaries in just a matter of weeks.
I know.
And those votes are going to start coming in. I mean, there's plenty to talk about. And if you guys have specific folks, you're like, yeah, I'd like to hear from so-and-so, tweet it at me and let me know so I can give them a call and get everything squared away ahead of time.
I need a consensus from the group because I'm trying to be better about these things. Don't get my dander up about certain aspects to what I do on a day-to-day basis. But someone is telling me to say it slowly, elementary. Am I saying elementary wrong?
No.
Elementary?
I think so.
Elementary? Elementary?
I'm perfectly fine with
elementary
pronunciation.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
No patience for anyone who doesn't.
Okay. All right. Are you saying that right?
Don't care.
I hope I'm saying it properly.
You know what I always do is I just say I'm exercising poetic license.
Someone, I lost it in the super text line because so many of you are responding. No, Dave said, Matt, say it with me. Dave has written this. Say it with me, Matt. Elementary. I don't know what that means. I think Dave's saying I'm pronouncing it wrong. My bad, Dave, if that's the case. In the meantime, here's where we are in presidential. I may be the only one that's getting a kick out of this, but I still get a kick out of this. So, Hunter Biden ignored a congressional subpoena.
Kinda. I mean, he showed up for a hot second and talked and ran away.
And said, I'll testify publicly, and that's a different thing than what they were asking him to do. And
the president spent a lot of time in Congress, been around Washington a while. Does he believe that congressional subpoenas are something that individual citizens can ignore?
I'm just not going to speak to that.
Why not? I guess I'm alone in this one because ever since, we remember Steve Bannon getting the subpoena and all this.
He got sentenced to 4 months.
I absolutely think congressional subpoenas should have teeth. Otherwise, what's the point?
Right.
And to be well, I just don't want to, though. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
And I love the fact that this entire drama is playing out in such a way where the press secretary for the president of the United States of America, the leader of the free world, is being asked, do you believe that an individual citizen should have the right to just flick the bird to Congress?
No is the answer.
The answer is no. No, we do not, but they can't answer that way.
The president spent a lot of time in Congress, been around Washington a while. Does he believe that congressional subpoenas are something that individual citizens can ignore?
I'm just not going to speak to that. Just not.
Why not? Why not?
You want to be more specific on your question?
He's a former.
How do you get more specific?
Should individuals be allowed to ignore congressional subpoenas? That's very specific. The answer is no.
The answer is no. I'm just not going to speak to that. I'm just not. She doesn't even have, golly, I wish I could. I don't know what the woman may. I wish I could be, some would suggest I am as bad at my job and still get paid for it, but I wish I could be this bad at my job.
Are you want to be more specific on your question?
He's a former senator. He's issued subpoenas in his career. Does he believe that the subpoenas have to be complied with?
I'm just going to have you speak to the White House counsel on this. I'm just not going to speak to that.
It's a tough question to answer because it's, no.
But then the follow-up is, but you just don't answer the follow-up.
Right.
Right. If we're Karine Jean-Pierre and we try to be sensitive to the position that she's in, and she's in a bad way.
Yeah, of course.
She can't defend to this stuff. Even if she was good at her job. Does the president believe, I'll ask you, Mr. Smith, does the president believe that individual citizens have the right to ignore congressional subpoenas?
No.
Well, then, Mr. Smith, excuse me, follow up, sir.
Excuse me, we have a lot of questions here, so I'm going to get to the next question.
I got to follow up. Or if somebody else says, Hunter Biden, we're not going to speak to the specifics of the nature of
their ongoing legal proceedings, and I can't comment on those matters. See, it's real easy.
It's not hard and you blanch it on the front end. And if we had an honest media, this would be a lead tonight. They refuse to answer whether or not. Well, then Steve Bannon, why is he facing 4 months in jail?
Well, the problem is buddy media, and you and I both know that it's like the left is friendly with the left, and the right's friendly with the right, and nobody's there to be like, we should hold our own people accountable because we don't trust government.
Speaking of holding people accountable, I'm going to hold myself accountable 2 minutes too late. It's 2:32 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Mac Morey is standing. He's pacing. He's ready to deliver headlines, and he's going to do so perfectly next.
.232, I'm Mac Morey with your top stories. 56 degrees on Music Row. Latest weather forecast coming up in 2 minutes. The chairman of the Federal Reserve took questions from reporters after the announcement from the Fed that they would not raise interest rates again. Liz Landers has more on what Powell said about the possibility of a U.S. recession.
The chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, spoke with reporters after the Fed kept interest rates the same for the third time in a row of their meeting. He was asked about whether the United States economy has avoided a recession.
I think you can say that there's little basis for thinking that the economy is in a recession now.
Powell cautioned that there's always a probability of a recession in the next year, no matter what the economy is doing, and it's far too early to declare victory.
Right now in Tennessee, a teenager died today in a crash on Highway 41 in Goodlettsville this morning. A 17-year-old boy was hit by a Dodge Ram before 5 a.m. near Dickerson Pike while in the middle of the road. He was transported to a hospital with his mother by his side, where he later died. The driver of that truck cooperated with the full investigation. It's still unclear why that boy was in the middle of a busy street. And a suburban Oklahoma City woman and her adult daughter both face charges of felony exploitation by a caregiver. Jim Ryan says the woman faces a maximum 10 years in prison if they're convicted.
At the Oak Hills Care Center in suburban Oklahoma City,
some of these residents have dementia. Some of them trust anybody.
Police Chief Brian Farrington says Bobby Thomas and her 20-year-old daughter Kelby Davis both worked there. When family members noticed unusual charges on their loved ones' credit cards,
there were car payments made, a lot of things bought from Amazon, going out to eat.
Chief Farrington traced $13,000 in fraudulent charges to Thomas and Davis.
Once family members figured it out, it was too late.
The mother and daughter are in custody.
And that is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
All right, folks, Matt Murphy here for the Glock Store. I mentioned yesterday that I went on the Glock Store's website, and they have right there on the front of the website, you go to glockstore.com, you'll see it for yourself. They have deals $25 and under. They have deals $50 and under. They have deals $100 and under. They have deals $150 and under. All available for you right there to see online. You can go in and pick this up, wrap it, put it under the tree, and there you go. We're talking about apparel. We're talking about gear. I've mentioned, and I cannot believe it, if someone has not already purchased me a pair of concealed carry underpants for me underneath the tree, because I'm excited. I mean, these exist. I did not know that they existed until I went to the world-famous Clock Store, but they do. Concealed carry underpants are a thing, and they're available at the world-famous Clock Store, amongst much, much other things. Plus, you can give the gift of training in the new year, which I would strongly encourage in all seriousness. Think about it. Training up your loved one with a professional trainer from the world-famous Clock Store in their shooting rooms. Go to shoot270.com to find out more about that. Go by the world-famous Clock Store on Elm Hill Pike for all of your holiday shopping needs, or to arm yourself for the eventual, the future is... it's wide open. You need to make sure that you protect yourself. The way to do that is with the Glock Store. Glockstore.com or shoot270.com. Go buy today. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 2:39. Thank you for being with us on our anniversary edition. I know you're thinking, wait a minute, it's an anniversary edition. What did you bring to the party? What gift did you bring the listening audience? We're one big family. Well, that gift is in the form of Cameron Smith. There he is.
Yeah.
2 years. And you said it wouldn't work.
I did?
No, you didn't.
No, I said it'd be great.
I'm making some of that up. All right, so 2 years in, and we're having a good time. We'll check in with Brian Wilson coming up in moments about what's going on the drive. That should be exciting, especially with everything going on in Washington, D.C. Nobody can break down D.C. in the same fashion as Brian Wilson because he's been there and lived it, and we've been doing said same for the better part of the hour. Jeannie, I think it is in Columbia, and I never thought I'd say these words. Jeannie wants to talk about elementary school Satan Club.
Go for it.
Yes.
Hey, Jeannie, how are you?
I'm great. And I had a prayer meeting at my house last night, and one of the ladies that came had given me this flyer that they are giving out to our children at Chimney Rock Elementary for an after-school Satan Club. And it is being sponsored by the Satanic Temple. It's saying that this is going to be the first, and that they are going to try to implement this program into all of our schools for after-school programs. So I want to reach out to y'all just to say, we need to pray against these things, because this is such a spirit of perversion that's coming in and trying to make our children pray, P-R-E-Y. And we just need to come together and pray against this thing, because these strongholds are coming up from up above in dominions that we need to pray against, and unity, because if we don't protect our children, who will?
But are your children allowed to go to Satan Club?
Pardon?
Are your children allowed to go to Satan Club?
You know what? I do not have children myself. I'm a teacher. So to me, they're all my kids.
Right, but tell me who is going to go.
It's saying here it's going to be an after-school program, and I'm sure they probably have some kids, because it's saying here that they are going to try to teach him as a literary figure,
right?
To try to get them to understand that they do not have to follow any theistic religion.
Yeah, I think I'm looking at the same flyer that you're looking at, Jeannie. So here's my take on it, and see what you think as a teacher. So okay. I believe this group of morons, the Satanic Temple, whatever they are, they're attempting to bait Christian people into trying to put a stop to this, so that they can in turn use their lawyers to try to put a stop to Christian-based groups and organizations that organize around schools. And so if we react to this in this way, but I don't think it's going to come to anything. I don't think that you're going to get elementary school kids participating in Satan Club. I don't think parents are going to allow their kids to participate in Satan Club. I think that these organized events will be there for a couple of months and then go away, because no one will be there. But if we react in a way where we, quote, shut it down, then they will in turn, I think their whole point is to sue the school system to prevent.
To make it a thing.
To make it a thing.
Right. I get you. I get where you're coming from. But the battlefield is in prayer. And that's what I'm asking for, prayer against it, because that's where we win and lose the battles.
And also, parents not sending their kids to it, too, would help.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But, Jeannie, you're talking to a guy. I mean, I don't have any children myself, so my kids are perfect. They get straight A's. They always go to Sunday school. But I've long said, when the subject of prayer in school comes up, I was like, I don't think you need prayer in school. I think we need prayer in our homes. I think if more people prayed with their kids at home, there would be less necessity to demand that we pray in schools. And secondarily, government tends to screw everything up that it touches, and I don't want it to screw up my religion too.
Yeah, well, the Bible says pray without ceasing, so we can pray, but also this is the kind of stuff that we don't want to overreact to.
Right, because I don't think it's coming. And thank you, Jeannie, for the call. In the meantime, we're getting a lot of reaction to my anniversary gift to the listening audience.
Great.
Todd, not much of a gift.
Thanks, Todd.
Statman says gag gifts don't count. Hey, they're going to eat these words when they see your column.
Yeah.
You got now, Cameron Smith, rightly or wrongly, has been labeled. He's not a never Trumper, although he has more concerns than I do.
I'm a balls and strikes guy.
And that's what he says. He says that to make himself feel better about his never Trumpism. Anyway, no, he'll do what he needs to do. The point is that you're formulating in your head and maybe on paper a column talking about the Trump enthusiasm and the gap of enthusiasm for any other Republican candidate.
I've got to finish my edits, but I'm going to drop it because here's my thing all along about this is I want to be honest and direct. It's not, and some folks get upset about that. And yeah, there's snowflakes everywhere. But the real issue here is I can make a very rational argument for why, for example, Nikki Haley is a good, rational, safe choice to beat Joe Biden. Yay. What I can't do is make you excited about it. And when you look, there was a Monmouth University, Washington Post poll of New Hampshire Republican voters. And this is important because this is one of those swing state type areas, right? Mm-hmm. And what it basically said was 60% of New Hampshire Republicans were fine with Nikki Haley being the nominee if it came to that. But the enthusiasm gap, like how strongly they feel about the candidate, she's 20 points behind Donald Trump in terms of voter enthusiasm. And then everything tails off from there. And so what's happening is people just are really excited about Donald Trump because he's an idea. He's not a candidate. What he says and does doesn't actually matter to a lot of Republican voters. And I've had to learn this, that he is the thing that you support to oppose weird sex stuff in kids' schools. It's the thing that you support to stop the presidents of Harvard who don't know what, genocide, whether it's bad or not. Right. Like, you support Donald Trump, and it's combating all those things at the same time that you don't like.
I've said for a long, and I don't want to play the I've been saying this from the beginning card, but it happens to be true in this case, that in the 2016 election cycle, when the Billy Bush audio came out, and it was the 14th time or however many before it, that the media said, this is the one that's going to get him. This is the one that's going to destroy him. I, in Birmingham, Alabama, said, no, it's not going. None of these personality attacks are going to destroy Donald Trump because it's not about Donald Trump. He represents something bigger, and people look at him that way. They forgive him all of his personal failures because he represents something larger to them, and that is their frustration and anger with federal government particularly, but government generally, and how it is encroaching upon their lives and their daily lifestyles.
And everything they've been told they can't do is support or think.
Right.
And people hate that, right? I mean, and I see this because I try to make a rational argument, and they're like, you're just trying to convince me of something that I don't want to do. And I get that because I feel that way sometimes. I feel that way sometimes to Trump supporters. You can't tell me what I have to do. And so that sentiment's real, it's powerful, and Trump has it in spades. None of the rest of the field has it.
I'm the perfect foil for your arguments, and we've done it on and off the air over the many, many years because you're giving me a rational argument why there is danger in these Trump waters, and I'm like, that's fine, Cameron. I'm still jumping in. I don't care.
Literally, the title of my column is how Republican voters learn to stop worrying and love the bomb, which is a reference from Stanley Kubrick's 1964 Dr. Strangelove. And I think it's actually true because he could explode. Like, the one scenario that Joe Biden has a successful path to retain office is a conviction by a jury of Donald Trump in criminal charges, swings things like almost 10 points, roughly.
Mm-hmm.
That's Joe Biden's best path to stay in office right now.
By the way, I think it's a testimony to the loyalty of Trump supporters that it would only swing it that much. I mean, isn't that it's fascinating?
Very fair, but that's the only thing that loses those kind of independents and causes Joe Biden to have a clear pathway. But that's the gamble, right? And for most primary Republican voters right now, they're like, okay, cool.
I mean, it truly is. I mean, his movement is greater than himself. When does that drop? When is that article? Do you know?
I'll load it tonight and probably drop it tomorrow.
All right, well, there you go. All right, there's Cameron Smith. Cameron's going to stick around while we say hello to Brian Wilson, and we're doing so presently. It's 2:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Contempt of Congress or no? I think they go ahead and do it. They file charges of contempt of Congress against the guy and then move on from there. By the way, Scott Sapicki tells me, he texted me and said that they're looking into what to do about this satanic club in Memphis. They don't want to violate the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution of the state of Tennessee. At the same time, they're wondering if there's something they can do about it. I'll give you an update coming up in the next several days. In the meantime, let's find out what Brian Wilson is doing this afternoon. Brian, have you heard about the satanic club out over in Memphis that's cranking up in January 2024? Huh?
I have, and boy, that's a dilemma, isn't it? I mean, on one hand, you want to allow groups to use these facilities, and then if you have a policy for one, it's hard to deny for another. But I mean, come on. Yeah, certainly they never intended for something like this to happen. No. I don't know it's a sticky wicket.
You didn't do that in high school.
No. They didn't have satanic clubs in Odessa back in the day.
No, I'm pretty sure. We actually thought that the Christian Scientists were a little dodgy.
Yes.
No, I'm teasing. I'm only teasing.
That's good. What do you make of? I mean, so Hunter Biden just kind of thumbs his nose at this thing. He maybe wins a little bit from those not paying close attention, the public relations thing, because he says, well, I want to do it in public, but I think he's going to lose long term.
He's going to lose. They're going to this afternoon. The House is going to vote to send him a subpoena. I think that's going to happen. It seems pretty clear that they're going down that path, and they're going to do the thing with the impeachment inquiry. I think that's all going to happen. Here's a little inside baseball. You want some inside baseball?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Interesting that it was the Senate side that he chose to do this on. It's a House subpoena, right? But there's a little thing right in front of the Senate. I can't tell you the number of times I did live shots out there. It's called the swamp site. It literally, that's what we call it.
The swamp site?
I'll meet you at the swamp site. And we have all of our television connections there. So they hold a lot of press conferences there. And it's sort of a place when you're covering the Senate, you go there to do interviews with senators, et cetera. It used to be very swampy. I want you to know that I personally was responsible for getting a brick patio put in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did.
Well, that's nice of you.
We had a whole story, but anyway, one other time I'll tell that story. So he goes to the Senate side. Why? The Sergeant at Arms of the House has no authority on the Senate side.
He was worried he would grab him?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he was out of compliance with the subpoena when he said he wasn't going to come, and they were worried, I guess, that the Sergeant at Arms might show up and say, Mr. Biden, right this way.
I love it.
They do have the ability to hold people, but they don't.
I guess. All right, well, more to come with Brian Wilson. Nobody knows Washington, D.C. better than this man. That's coming up in mere seconds on the Brian Wilson Show. It's called The Drive on Super Talk 99.7 WT, and that's right after Mac Morey in the news. Mac's got all the headlines, and we'll be listening to The Drive. Have a great afternoon, folks. Hug your loved ones. We'll talk to you tomorrow for a Thursday edition. Until then, happy anniversary to us. Back tomorrow.